With training camp less than a week away, it's time to play a fun old game I like to call All In or Pump the Brakes. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner _. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. If you want to go leave a review where reviews are left, you're welcome to. You know that I'm just happy that you're here every day. Thanks for being with me, whether it be from day one in 2017 or if you're a new everydayer starting today, maybe make tomorrow your second listen. I've been in sports radio since 2011, hosting this lovely podcast since 2017, going on my 8th season hosting Locked On Cardinals. There's no place I'd rather be. So thank you for being a part of it with me. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. If there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So today, after doing my 6-episode series highlighting every single game the Cardinals will have and, discussing what could happen, the storylines, what the Cardinals' path to victory would be, whether it be position group or the offense as a whole, or anywhere in between. Check those out. Those are the last 6 episodes. Today, I kind of want to take a beat. Okay. There's been a lot of positives, which is awesome. There's been a lot of great things, a lot of great vibes, a massive shift in culture, foundation, leadership, etc., whether it be from GM, head coach, coordinators, or QB1. And this is the time of the year where everything is roses. This is the time of the year where you get excited about everything. This is the time of the year where you're looking at the countdown to week 1 and everything is exciting because, as rational or irrational as it may seem, everybody, and if you don't, you're lying to yourself or lying to me. Everybody has a little 0.0 100 times 1% thought in their mind as an Arizona Cardinals fan thinking they could go 18-0, 17-0. Everybody starts at 0-0. It could happen. And it's something that, while amazing and incredible, and the definition of sport, hoping for your team that you love or that you've covered for a long time like me, can talk about more positive things than negative. So during this episode, I want to do a couple things. In the final segment, I'll give kind of my thoughts about how the Cardinals are in a great position. Okay. Kind of tie a bow on this as we pivot towards camp starting Monday of next week. I'm going to give my topics to where the Cardinals need to pump the brakes and where fans need to pump the brakes. Not the Cardinals themselves. Where fans need to pump the brakes on expectations. But first, the real fun stuff. What you should go all in about. And yeah, listen, you're an adult. You can think as you wish. This is what I suggest people be going all in about and regarding pumping the brakes in the next segment. Things that the Cardinals fans and people who, whether national media members or local media members, whatever, things you should go all in regarding. 1, the leadership is proper. The leadership is there. This is not a facade. You know right away what Monty Ossenfort is, regardless of the man that he's replacing as GM. You would give him a thumbs up over the last 20 months or so, regardless. Even if the last GM won 7 Super Bowls, what Monty Ossenfort has done during this rebuild has been great, has been masterful. The future pacing elements and opportunities are there, and that's what you want. The roster building is there. They've got a whole bunch of cheese. Not only this season still, they got over $20 million to spend, but they're going to have top 5 money next offseason. Jonathan Gannon, Nick Rallis, and Drew Petzing are fit for the job. Being gumshoes last year, being rookies at their respective positions. They took a ragtag group of guys, built a team out of them, made them prepared, and ready for every week where they were favored to win 0 games last year and came out and competed and were one of the more fun teams to watch by football nerds out there, especially in the beginning of the season. The Cardinals when I say easily could have won 7 games last year. They just didn't have the talent to do it early on. That's one. All in. Number 2, Kyler Murray is finally in a ecosystem, where he has the opportunity to thrive. That kind of parlays what I was talking about in number 1, but Kyler Murray has also taken advantage of that situation and made the most out of it. And that's a big deal. The biggest knock on Kyler Murray was, does he even want to play? Like, does he work hard? Does he like playing football? Would he rather play baseball? That was early. And then, the homework clause and blah, blah, blah. Listen, yeah. Probably didn't watch as much tape as he should. That's on him. Everything Kyler Murray has done since tearing his ACL is everything you'd wished he would be as he matured into a true NFL quarterback. Didn't have the best position early on, didn't have the best situation early on, didn't have a good coach early on. Michael Bidwell didn't know what the hell he was doing. Steve Keim didn't know what the hell he was doing. Michael Bidwell, since removing Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim, has done everything necessary in an effort to rewrite the history on him as an owner and this organization as a whole. And that includes putting Kyler Murray in a situation to succeed. Kyler Murray has reaped the benefits and the rewards and maximized that so far to put himself, and by proxy, his entire team, in position to win more so and more strongly than since he's come into the league in 2019. That is something you can go all in. Another thing, this offense is the best offense Kyler Murray has had in the NFL. Say if you want future pacing or not, regardless of where Larry Fitzgerald was in his career production-wise, the rest of the offense was bad. It just was. You had James Conner come in, great. 2021, good. Wasn't sustainable. It just wasn't sustainable. This is the most balanced offense, albeit young in very key positions, that Kyler Murray has had. The offensive line is the best offensive line Kyler Murray has had. So my old adage, every day as you'll know this, the best offensive lineman the best offensive lineman the Arizona Cardinals have is Kyler Murray's legs. That is slowly going to dissipate into the ether if Paris Johnson becomes what everybody expects him to be. With the compliments, especially on the right side of Shelton Froholt and Will Hernandez and Jonah Williams. We'll see if Isaiah Adams will be the guy at left guard. This offense is the best and most complete that Kyler Murray has had as a pro. Couple that with Drew Petzing's run first, play action, feature the tight end, Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside offense. Not to mention Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch are going to have opportunities like they've never had before. That's it. That's an all-in thing. And then finally, the all-in that everybody should be jumping towards is this team is ready to play for themselves and ready mentally at least to compete perpetually in relevancy for playoff positions and deep playoff runs. Mentally, they are ready. And that's a lot of the battle. It's a lot of the battle. And that is something that has happened in 2 off seasons and 1 full season, most of which was played without Kyler Murray. They haven't even hit camp yet in the second off season, and it's already there. And while, the TikTok videos and Instagram videos of Kyler Murray and all the wide receivers working out, that's fantastic. It's a perfect segue into, let's pump the brakes a little bit on things. This isn't fairy tale land yet. This isn't Disneyland. This isn't La La Land. This is the NFL, and the Arizona Cardinals are not ready to compete for a playoff spot yet. Sorry, it's true. I'll discuss it next as we roll on here. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked on Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games. And the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to, naturally. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. Listen, if you want to bet on who's going to win the NBA championship, there are lines up for that. I believe the Boston Celtics are the odds-on favorite. You want to get those odds early? You can do that with FanDuel this offseason. Who's going to win the NL MVP, the AL MVP, Major League World Series? Who's going to win it? FanDuel has you covered for all of it. NFL, obviously. Who's going to win week 1 in Buffalo? They've got lines. Who's going to be NFL MVP? Everything like that. Just because there aren't games doesn't mean FanDuel doesn't have you covered, because they 100% do. Again, head to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. There are some pump the brakes things that I feel like I owe people to discuss. Now, again, this isn't putting a wet blanket on something that's fantastic, because everything so far has been rainbows and butterflies. And to think that that could last is not an irrational thought. That's not what this segment specifically is about. This isn't to counterpoint. This isn't to just say something that other people aren't saying. It's never been my thing. People accuse me of that, but I just say what I think. The thought that the Arizona Cardinals are a shoo-in to make the playoffs in 2024 just because Kyler Murray and the wide receivers are working out together is a fallacy of epic proportions. Just because things are going well doesn't mean the Cardinals are so ahead of schedule that they're 100% going to win 10 games and make the playoffs or vie for the NFC West crown in 2024. Could they? Sure. If the offense goes bonkers and the defense specifically really takes that massive 0-1 jump, especially with second-year guys like Bija Ojulari and Garrett Williams, obviously Kazir White's second year with the Cardinals, and then Max Melton, Elijah Jones, Sean Murphy-Bunting, the secondary really takes that jump to where they could be a top 20. They don't need to be a top 10 defense for the Cardinals to make the playoffs. Top 20 for sure, though, especially with who the Cardinals are playing against. Sure, there's a world where that could happen. It's not the most far-fetched thing like saying last year the Cardinals were going to win the Super Bowl. That's not the same gap as the Cardinals making the playoffs this year, naturally. And the Cardinals still have a long way to go. We haven't seen any of this yet. We haven't seen what the target dispersion is going to be. We haven't seen if James Conner exactly going to be a replica of last year. We haven't seen Trey Benson as going to be the guy who's the heir apparent. And I'm not saying this as an easy argument, like, well, obviously we haven't seen it. How can you make an argument based on what we haven't seen? People discussing the playoffs as a surefire thing in 2024 is leveraging things that we haven't seen also. Look at that one-handed catch by Marvin Harrison Jr. when nobody's wearing pads 6 months before the season starts. Oh, playoffs. Oh, these guys are working out together. Playoffs. Can't do it. Can't do it. Things are trending in the right direction. I will still use my old adage that any step that isn't a step backwards is a step forwards. And while those are those are more prevalent than the few and far between that we had seen in years past, that doesn't mean that this season would be a disappointment if the Cardinals don't make the playoffs. This season won't be a disappointment if the Cardinals don't miss the playoffs. Now, if they win 4 games and Kyler Murray's terrible and Marvin Harrison Jr. has a rookie block 5 weeks in and Trey McBride regresses and James Conner's old and the offensive line doesn't work and none of the that's not going to happen. We've removed ourselves from thinking about that. And that lends more to they're going to win more than 4 games for sure. So aren't playoffs or busts kind of a thing, or aren't in the hunt in week 15 through 18? That's a must. If that 4-win thing isn't, no. If you tell me the Cardinals win 7 games, they win 3 more games, they win 75% more games than they did a year ago, that's a win, man. I struggle when people compare the Cardinals to any other organization that's won anything before, like a Super Bowl or multiple. You can't. The Cardinals are on their own timeline. The Cardinals have their own definition of success. The Cardinals they let Urban Meyer stay for 4 years instead of getting rid of him after a year like Jacksonville did. It's not the same. This may as well be year 3 of Kyler Murray's career, and that's not an excuse. That's a reason why they are where they are. 11-2 was the biggest Ponzi scheme, Bernie Madoff thing I've ever seen. This is real. This is organic, and it takes time. On the other side, I find it hard to believe that they don't win 7+ games if Kyler Murray's healthy the entire year. If they don't have any sort of big injuries. The offense is good enough. The defense is just going to have to hold up. That's on Nick Rallis. That's on Jonathan Gannon. That's what they were brought in to do. And they've got enough veterans in key spots to be able to withhold any sort of real explosion from happening where they give them a 50 burger 3 times this year. With all that said, just because TikTok videos are fun and Instagram videos are fun, and it shows cohesion that is absolutely, absolutely necessary and has been, devoid in some capacity over the last couple seasons, does not directly correlate to playoffs. Everybody has this. Every cohesive quarterback and wide receiver unit has what the Cardinals have been showing. Now it's time for the Cardinals to take that, put it on the field, implement it with Drew Petzing's offense, and win games. And until you see that, it is a fool's errand to think that the Cardinals are playoff ready in 2024. It's fun. It's exciting. It's necessary to see. And the beauty of what Kyler Murray has done in his transition from, recluse is a bad word, but from very quiet in the media and outside of the media, on the field, all of that, from where he was in 2019 to where he is now, it has been incredibly inspiring and uplifting to see what he's become, because the Arizona Cardinals have needed it. He's being paid handsomely for it now. And when things like this start, when transitions like this start, from quiet to absolute leader, it doesn't stop. It only gets better. And that's something. While you have to pump the brakes on many things, like the Cardinals must make the playoffs for this season to be a success, watching the step-by-step moments of this Cardinals offseason has been nothing short of incredible. And you got to love that. And the Cardinals are in a great position in 2024 because of it. I'll discuss it next. We're all on here, Locked On Cardinals. Your team, yours, every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role, right? That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board, man. They help you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Please go to the YouTube channel, which says Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button. Turn notifications on. If you want to leave a thumbs up, if you want to leave a review saying you love the podcast, that'd be great. If not, I'm just happy that you're here. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all the shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 streaming channel, sports-related program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So let's recap. Great things have been happening since the beginning of last season that you're free to go all in on. Leadership is there. Kyler Murray has matured and is now finally in a culture and a setting where he can thrive. And on top of that, he's taken advantage in a positive way and maximized the ability to be able to do that. Make the most out of this new shifted trajectory of the Arizona Cardinals. And he's got the best offense he's had in the NFL. Even though most players are very young from the skill position group. That's okay. That's great. And that's the power Monty has for putting players on this roster, on the offensive side of the ball, that are going to be in a position to succeed from day one. Pump the brakes on the Arizona Cardinals must make the playoffs, or they're going to make the playoffs. Buy the playoff tickets just because they're posting stuff on TikTok together. Stop it. I'm not trying to be a wet blanket here, but the rainbows and butterflies are great. It's fantastic. This is the trajectory you want. This is the growth and maturity and birth of functionality. And it's great. And it doesn't mean that they have to make the playoffs or it's a disaster. That would be insane thinking to think that, in my opinion. Having said that, ping-ponging on the other side, the Cardinals are in a great position. All of these things can be true simultaneously. The Cardinals have the long runway. They've got the longest runway of any NFC West team. If things happen the way the Cardinals expect them to, in the opportunistic fashion that not only has this roster been built upon, the salary cap has been misered upon, and where the allocation of draft picks over the last couple of years have been placed, the Cardinals can be great for 5, 7, 8 years. Especially if the defense pans out. But let's look at where the Cardinals were in 2022. Coming off an embarrassing showing in the playoffs, didn't really know which side was up. The massive win by Kyler Murray against the Raiders, which was culminated by Byron Murphy's scoop and score on Hunter Renfro's second fumble in 2 plays in the overtime, set up by Kyler Murray's heroics in the second half. And then Kyler Murray tearing his ACL. Uninspired football afterwards. The inspired level of football played in the beginning of last season compared to the end of the season after Kyler Murray was hurt, you can't even put them in the same arena. That's coaching. That's preparation. That's buy-in from top to bottom. That's what the Cardinals have. They have cohesion, they have buy-in, and it's subconscious at this point. It's been flipped. It doesn't have to be preached anymore, even though it will be. It's there already, and it's going to be there. That is a great position for the Cardinals to be in, and what's set to be one of the most pivotal seasons in the history of the team. And the reason why I say that, you can say, oh, this is the biggest year in the history of the team. You could say that. But this isn't the old Arizona Cardinals. It's not. We don't know what it's going to be yet. There's plenty of question marks. Plenty. I talk about it every show. But these question marks are different than question marks of, I wonder what Steve Keim's going to do this year. As opposed to, is Marvin Harrison Jr. going to be ready right away? If so, great. If not, year 2, got it. Is Michael Wilson going to be healthy enough to be able to be that wide receiver too? Is Greg Dortch going to thrive under the spotlight in the first time where he actually has expectations, on his chest? Is Trey McBride going to be a top 5 tight end? Is James Conner going to continue to show people that age is just a number? Is Trey Benson ready in the wings for when the time comes to where James Conner takes that LeGarrette Blount role that I yearn for him to take at some point? Is Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson as a group going to show that they're not over the hill, especially Budda Baker? And is Kyler Murray going to step into action and be the quarterback everybody expects him to be, or thinks he can be at the MVP level he was during the first half of the 2021 season? And I know that was years ago, and I know a lot's happened since then. He's never been in a better position to succeed than he is right now. And that is another reason why the Cardinals are in a great position. Kyler Murray at his best doesn't have to be 300 all-purpose yards, 4 touchdowns every game. 21 for 25, 220, 2 touchdowns, maybe an interception, 30 yards on the ground. That's all he needs to do. This isn't Madden. And the Cardinals are in a situation that can allocate him the ability to just have to do that and not be Superman to go win games because of the ineptitude of a head coach and a play and a game plan. So while pumping the brakes is necessary, especially when we're months out and we don't even know what the depth chart's really going to look like yet, 1 to 22. While the pump the brakes of, it's not playoffs or bust just because some TikTok videos went out. That's not to put a damper on what's happening, because the spirit behind it is something that has been severely lacking since Kyler Murray has been drafted. It's been incredible to watch. So fun to watch. And it's great, and it resonates, and it's real, and it's important, and it's foundation strengthening, and it's culture strengthening, and it's trajectory shifting, and all of those things. That still doesn't mean that if the Cardinals don't make the playoffs, that it's been a bust. That is a fool's errand thought process. The Cardinals ripped this roster down to the studs. If you think that it's playoff or bust in year 2, first full year with Kyler Murray as quarterback under a new regime and new GM, and all the young players that haven't played with Kyler Murray are down in the NFL yet, I think you're going to be disappointed at the end of the year. Again, that's not to say the Cardinals can't make the playoffs. The defense is going to be the anchor holding behind the Cardinals moving forward. But if the defense is top 20 and the Cardinals offense is 80% of what we think it could definitely be, and there's no big injuries, the Cardinals can make the playoffs this year. But I do think, just pump the brakes, even with pumping the brakes on that playoff specifically. The Cardinals are in the best position they've been for perpetual relevance starting week 1 in Orchard Park against Buffalo than maybe we've ever seen this organization be. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Remember, without you, there is no me. Remember that. Dang it. I'll talk to you tomorrow.